All right, so our next presenter is Ariel Shimoni from Startup, and I wanted to say it's great to have them here. We're glad they're here. We're always interested to see companies that want to help developers take their to make money off of what they do. I think it's very important. There are ways to do it correctly, and there are ways that some people go out there and they beg for donations, and that's not great. So providing beg for donations, well, it is. So providing good opportunities for developers out there is a great thing. And so we're glad that they're here. And we are actually going to be working with them to find ways to securely store information and to make sure that security is a very privacy. Yeah, privacy is a very important thing. So, so thank you guys for being here.
Okay, so we're going to talk about Android monetization today, or navigating in a free ecosystem. This is a little bit of an off topic, but I think it's something that is quite useful for app developers, no matter what kind of business you want to make your hobby. You want to make a small business, or you want to grow it into an actual company. So we're going to talk a lot about the business models that are out there. I'm going to start with a little bit about Startup, about who we are, where we came from, and what we kind of achieved in the past 2 years since we launched. So we are an Android-only monetization distribution solution provider. We are currently working with over 40,000 applications out there in the Play Store. And we have over 900 million SDK downloads to date. And we're nearing the billion, and we're extremely excited about this. And in the past 2 years, we have really proudly paid over $10 million to app developers. Now, who out here has a, let's see, show of hands, has a live app in the Play Store today? That's a good number, kind of half and half. And of you guys, which one of you is actually using this as their main source of income, or the day job? That's too bad. And last thing, who's staying here at the Conrad Hotel? Yeah, this is for the organizers. What's with the iPhone?
I know.
Room?
Yeah.
I need the Android version for my son. Someone should port it. All right. Next time. For next time, just ask for that. So it's basically the type of developers that we're working with is extremely varied. We work with big Silicon Valley companies that has 100 or more employees, to the single developer sitting in his house in Bangalore, India. And these developers share a few challenges, or three main challenges that pretty much any app developer has in the post-launch of his application. So let's quickly talk about these. The first one is discovery. Basically, how do you make your application stand out in the crowd? We have over 1 million applications in the Play Store today. 20,000 new applications are coming in every month. So it's really, really, really hard to make your app stand out of the crowd. The second one is, okay, I got the user to download my application. How do I retain him? How do I make him come back to my application and stay there for long sessions? Some of the models we're going to talk about today rely on active users that are actually using your application, using it frequently and for long sessions. So this is really important. And the last one, and also our subject for today, is monetization. I got the user, I have them retained. Now, how do I make some money out of them? And how do I do it in a smart way that doesn't chase them away? Now, since this is an off topic, I kind of wanted us to be in a familiar environment. And since there's no code, maybe this will make us all feel a little bit more comfortable. So I created the Super Android board, basically running this on a familiar level of Super Mario World, I think 2, I'm not sure. So we're going to navigate through this, and we're going to talk about a few business models. Let's see exactly what we're going to talk about today. So we're going to start with the app equation, something quick, just to explain how an app is born. Quickly, we're going to jump into the business of apps, talk about a few business models. We're going to talk about 4, actually. paid banners and out-of-app monetization and in-app purchases, which is very, very buzzy. And we're going to wrap it up at the end with a few summaries. So, this is something I've been working on. I don't know if it's scientific, but maybe a lot of you are familiar with it. So an idea plus some code plus some coffee equals an app. That usually is the case for a lot of indie developers doing this over the weekend or after their day job. You got to put a lot of effort into your app, and once you have it, you want to put it out there and start making some money out of it. But before you can realize what business model you're going to use, it's important to know and understand the kind of app you have. So I chose 3 app types that we're going to use throughout this presentation. I'm going to use them as kind of a demo to see which business models fits each one. So the first one is a very simple clock widget. These come pre-installed on all devices, but there are dozens, actually there are thousands of them out in the Play Store. And if you do it right, these can generate a lot of downloads. People are looking for those, people like the different designs and like to personalize them. And these can actually generate a very, very high percent of active users, which is a key in monetization. You have to be aware that there are a lot of free alternatives out there. And similar apps to these would be wallpaper or any kind of widget or calendar apps or stuff like that. These would be similar apps to that one. Jumping into our second application would be an action game. I think by far the most popular, one of the most popular categories on Android. And now with the devices being more powerful, you see some insane things out there from very, very high-end companies. A few key factors here is to make it addictive. Try to make it try to work on gameplay as much as you can, but I don't need to tell you that. And similar apps to this would be any kind of strategy games or puzzles, maybe some gambling apps. These all fall into the same category, and the same kind of business models would fit these applications. Our last app is a music player. Again, something that usually comes embedded in the devices, but a lot of users like to download a second one or a different one that they can customize or like the design a little better. These can actually generate like almost a cult followers of loyal users that are using this very often for very long sessions. And it's important to have this one feature packed, meaning putting as many features on it as you can, or many themes. I'm going to talk about this later on to see what kind of business model that fits. Similar apps would be browsers, all kinds of social apps, and even launchers might be fitting in here. So those are our 3 apps. Let's kind of remember them as we're going to go back to them at other points of the presentation. So we're jumping into level 1, which is our first business model, and that's the paid app. So the paid app is actually quite an easy one to talk about. And I have pretty much one thing to say is just don't go there. It is not recommended today for the vast majority of applications you have ideas for to sell them. And I'm saying the vast majority. Android is completely leading the front in a free ecosystem, and this is all very connected to the open source and the availability for any developer to quickly develop an app and in a half hour have it out there in the Play Store. So there are other reasons for this, obviously, but iOS is following, by the way. It's still more of a paid is a more valid option out there, but on Android, free is definitely the way to go. Let's just check out a few numbers from the past week or so that I've picked up. So 81% of the apps today on the Play Store are free. If I would have given this presentation 10 months ago, it would have been around 5%. So this is definitely showing you where the trend is going. So 81% of the apps are free, but 97% of the actual downloads are for free apps. So you got 3% of the downloads for paid apps. And see this figure, 92% of apps that have that are paid, that cost $1 and up, have less than 500 downloads. So this is a very, very small number, and not something that you can build a business on. And last one that really kind of summarizes the free atmosphere the Play Store. This is the top grossing applications on the Play Store on Android from August 1st. Now, the two things that kind of these applications share, all of them aside for Pandora are games, and all of them are free. I don't know if you can see, but it says on green free, so the top 21 applications on Android are completely free. I can go on with this list for the top 50 or 100. I don't know if the paid app goes into that list before 50 or something like that. So that summarizes paid. I didn't spend too much time on this business model because I don't think it is valid. We're going to do our level 2, and we're going to move into a new business model, which is banner ads, in-app advertising, a lot of high-fiving going on over there. That's good. Banners. So let's go over the basics. The deal is pretty simple. You have an app, you have traffic, you have users, you have eyes on that application. You put your traffic up there, ad networks give you ads. That's the basic of this transaction. It is by far the most popular option of monetization out there. Okay, I try to kind of look around. There are over 400 networks and companies that are working in this environment of mobile advertising, if it's tracking or ad networks and stuff like that. So that means that's a huge business. AdMob alone, which is the Google ad network, is inside over 40% of free application, which is phenomenal. And there's quite a bit of acceptance from users. Meaning if you have a free app, users tend to accept and even expect to see advertisements inside. So this is a good thing for you as a developer, meaning you can actually use this and have users not resenting you for it. I wrote here eCPM is your friend. Are you guys familiar with the term eCPM, or effective cost per 1,000 impressions? So that's basically one of the most important numbers when dealing with banners, and I want to just spend a second just explaining how important this is. So let's say your app, and you're using 2 ad networks. One has paid you over the last month $85. The second paid you $50. And the question is, which one is better performing ad network? The immediate answer would be, well, network A paid me more, so if I have more traffic, I'm just going to give it to network A. Now, that's not entirely the case, and that's where eCPM, the effective revenue that you earn for 1,000 impressions, comes into play. See this again. So if network A, what you need to do is see how many impressions were actually delivered from each one of those networks. So if network A delivered 100,000 impressions and you generated $85, that means that the eCPM, or the revenue you made for 1,000 impressions, is 85 cents. On the other hand, if network B delivered only 50,000 impressions, their eCPM is higher. So you're looking for the higher number here. So if you have a stack of more impressions, or you want to choose just one ad network to work with, you should put it on network B. Since if they generate more impressions, your revenue evidently would be higher. Okay, so eCPM is an incredible tool to compare and to analyze which network is performing better. This is something I'm going to talk about a lot, testing and analyzing the results. Last thing I have here in the basics is there is a lot of creative variety out there for ad units from many ad networks. We're going to talk about this right now, but remember that you shouldn't stick with the first ad unit that you try. Okay, so a few things that you need to do in order to make this a success. So I wrote here, plan and integrate ahead. It's usually a good tip for any kind of development and any kind of business model that you want to integrate, is thinking about it while you're still in development of the app. Not doing it in hindsight and saying, okay, the app is complete, now let's find a way to squeeze a banner in there. You gotta think of when and where you can put a banner that will be less irritating and best engaging. And I wrote, engage with the user at the right time. This is key. There are many options for literally every app to have the right moment to engage with the user, so he'll be able to have more attention from the advertisement, click on it more, and then convert more. All these stats are what generates a better number for you. A very simple example for this would be, for example, the exit point. This is something not utilized by a lot of developers, and something that we recently released. So when the user is done with their application and he clicks the back button, that's a great moment to tell him, thanks for using our application, check out another one. Or thanks for using our application, check out this really cool app wall. There are similar apps here. That's a moment where he's done with their application, so he's not interfered inside the gameplay or the experience. And he's free to engage with the ad, and we're seeing this. Click rates are better and conversion rates are better, so everybody's happy. The user, you, and the advertiser that's getting better results. So engagement at the right time is key. Again, I'm going to say use full page ads, use app walls, use your video ads, use them smart, but use them. And last, just test a lot. You know, if you don't wanna test on your main app, build a few more smaller apps. Get a little traffic in there. See what works there, and then port it into your main app if you have that kind of setup. Let's move on to what you should avoid. So if those are the things you should do, this is what you should avoid. Using only the classic ads, like you see here, an example from Rovio's Angry Bird, if anyone remembers them. So I actually like using those because it's very bizarre that they integrated their advertisements in very non-user-friendly places. I mean, they're still making a lot of money because they have a lot of traffic, but at the end of the day, these classic banner ads are in the way, they're inside the middle of a level, and well, I don't know if they destroy or damage the experience, but they're certainly not in a place where the user can view them properly and engage with them in the right time. I also wrote avoid overkilling. This is also something that I see a lot from app developers. They go from 0 to 100 in 2 seconds. So instead of putting an interstitial here and an interstitial there, they pop a 30-second video ad every time you fail the level or something like that. That will scare away users. So moderation is very important in anything you do. Find that balance. We're going to talk about that later on. And last thing to avoid is to settle for the first ad network you try. And this is very common with AdMob, since it's the go-to for a lot of applications. And usually developers think, oh, okay, this is the best I can do, let's just keep it there. And they move on, develop another application and stuff like that. So no, there are so many players out there, and you should always reach out and see who can better perform. You remember those 3 apps we talked about at the beginning? So we're going to review each one of them with each business model that we're going to discuss and see how they fit. So first, we talked about a clock widget, which I said it could be with many users. It can generate a lot of downloads, and it is used very, very often. The problem is there is no place for an ad. You can't really put a banner inside a widget, so that kind of puts it as a no work. It really is not a good match. You can use the settings menu, but that won't really generate anything. The second one is an action game. So as I said, it's super popular. A lot of users, long sessions, and this could definitely be a good fit, but if you integrate it smartly. So use interstitials, pop the ad in between levels when the user fails, when he exits the application. Try to avoid anything that takes up your real estate. You have a very, very small real estate where the player engages with the game, especially with an action game or strategy game. You really need the entire screen. So an ad in the middle could definitely interfere. So it definitely can work if you use the right ads. And last is our music player, which is a great fit for this actually. Users generate long sessions, which means you can pop many ads inside without interfering the experience. You can find ad networks that might give you relevant ads to what music the user is listening, and by that have more attention, more engagement with the ads. So that could be a really, really good fit. So, to sum up our banners, I said use a variety of ad units, place the banners strategically and with thought. Analyze your performance. There are a lot of free tools out there for network analytics and how your banners are performing. Use those. And tracking tools, I said that as well. Bottom line is though, to make this work, or to make this work as your primary source of revenue, you need a lot of traffic, which is not always easy to get. So it's smart maybe to add this as another business model inside your app. And in terms of numbers of what you can expect, I try to give you a very rough averages. So with 10,000 daily active users that are using your app every day, let's say each one of them is generating 3 impressions per day. So with standard classic ads, you can really expect relatively low eCPMs and revenue of between $6 and $15. If you upgrade this to interstitials and app laws, you can definitely see 10 times better eCPMs and $60 to $150 a day. So this is already numbers that can, I can grow this into a small business. So this was our banners, and we're moving up to level 3, which is out of the app monetization. Out of app monetization, it has a lot of ad units or a lot of variation here. It could be an icon ad, notification ads, everything that occurs outside of the application, pre and post call interactions. This business model actually create a brand new payment method, which is pay per download, which is extremely pro-developer, meaning that you get paid for every download that you generate rather than impressions or clicks inside your application. This is gaining a lot of popularity, and I wrote play by the rules. So I'm going to talk about this in a second, but this is maybe slightly on the more aggressive side, but it is known and accepted by Google. You just got to do it right. So the good things about this, that it easily outperforms other banners in terms of how much you can make from your users. The eCPMs are usually a lot higher, and if you talk about pay per download, it outperforms standard banner ads any day, and for any kind of ad. There's a process of the user opting into these advertisements, and there's a process of the user opting out if it doesn't want these advertisements, which is very unique. Standard banner ads don't really give the user the option to never see an ad again other than pay. Here the user can either not opt in and never get the ad, or opt out if he doesn't like it. So it gives you a lot of flexibility on how you present these ads. So we talk about this being known and approved by Google, just a few rules that you can check out on developer.android.com. They explain everything there. And this is a great option for added revenue. We're going to talk about this in a second. A few hinges and a few maybe bumps on the road with this business model is, well, actually just one, is user reviews. Since this is something that occurs outside the application, some users may not be fans of this. Again, they can opt out, they can easily not use this, but if they do, you might get a few bad reviews and stuff like that, but it's nothing that shakes up the application too much. And to avoid this, I wrote that moderation is a key to making this work. So you can usually control the frequency of ads that you send, and not overdoing this with too many ad networks might be the way to go. We're going back to match the app, going over our 3 apps to see what fits. So the clock widget, if you think about it, I told you there's no real room for banners, and there's no real place to do anything else here. And since this is an out-of-app monetization solution, this is actually a perfect fit. You get a lot of downloads, you get a lot of active users, and this can generate fantastic numbers. For an action game, again, you don't like ads are in the way, you can't really find a place for an interstitial. Out-of-app monetization can work fantastic here. Same goes for the music player. It's a good way to keep your UI clean. If you don't want ads at all, you can take monetization outside of the application, have the user process into an opt-in, a very, very clear opt-in. And again, this is fantastic because it generates, again, a lot of users, a lot of impressions, and it can be a great solution for app like music play. So to sum up out-of-app monetization, this will definitely generate fantastic numbers. I mean, we have people that are using this and others and are blown away with the numbers. It's important to have a very clear opt-in. It's important to keep track on your user feedback and reply to users on the Play Store, which you can do now. This can work with literally any type of app. And this can coexist with any other business model, which makes it a great revenue boost. In terms of what you can expect, so with 10,000 daily downloads, not necessarily daily active users, which can make this a lot more, you can expect between $30 and $50 with notification ads and between $50 and $150 with icon ads. So these are, again, great numbers. Moving on to our last and I would say hardest or most complicated business model, which is the freemium or in-app purchases. Talking about this actually has a lot of names out there. So people call it in-app purchases. It can be named virtual currency or maybe incentivized offers for your users. What it basically means is this application is free to download, but inside the application, there's a variety of ways for the user to either buy more features, buy more guns in a game, buy more lives, play a little longer, beat his friends in a variety of ways. And it is very much dominated by games. I mean, you rarely see this model integrated so cleverly in an app that is not a game, which is natural because it's quite hard. And or the last thing, which is numbers are a little bit mind-blowing. I'm sure many of you play Candy Crush from level 208, stuck for days, or crazy. Candy Crush has 200,000 downloads a day, which by itself is an incredible number. It has 6 million daily active users worldwide, and they're generating over $600,000 in revenue every day from a free app with no banners and only in-app purchases. These numbers are mind-blowing. They actually didn't confirm this number, but I can assume that it might be even more, because what they did say is that 73% of the players playing Candy Crush that made it all the way to the last level didn't pay a single dollar. So the potential here is even crazier. Now again, this is a crazy example, but they're a bit of an anomaly, and I wouldn't go into creating a game expecting these numbers. But still, this is a fantastic example to see the potential of this unbelievable business model. So to make it work, I wrote up be born in Finland. It's not really an option, but still, somehow, for some reason, I don't know what they're putting in the water there, a lot of the Finns do fantastic games and utilize this business model in an incredible way. The best example is the iOS game Clash of Clans. Similar numbers to Candy Crush. Again, huge hit, but it's not on Android. So that doesn't count. Again, to make it work, you got to plan from day one. This is something that needs to be seamlessly integrated into the application. It's something that has a lot of user psychology behind it. When to ask for money, don't do it too early, don't do it too late. Don't ask for too much money, don't ask for too little money. There is a lot of things that go around this business model. With the first thing, or the most important thing, is just make it addictive. If the users are hooked, you can pretty much get anything out of it. I mean, if I play this game and my mom plays this game, that's a great achievement. I will create a currency, even two. That's always another good strategy, which is different from just asking for money to keep playing. But a currency inside a game is a great way for you to get the users actually participating and paying more. If you create two, where one is very easy to get and you stack it up, and the second is very, very hard to get, that can also generate a lot of users that want that hard to get currency. So make gold very easy to get, and then make diamonds incredibly hard to achieve. It creates a lot of competition between friends, and I'm going to talk about this in a second, adding a social layer can really, really help with this game, with this. And in a building process, which is also very important to seamlessly integrate, have the user make 2-3 clicks tops just to make that purchase. If he needs to start filling out forms, he needs to enter credit card information, that will not work. And a few hinges, a few bumps in the road, this is definitely not easy to do right. It takes, I imagine, a lot of failed attempts, a lot of tweaks to make this just right. If you don't have a game app, this instantly becomes a lot harder. And I said you need to hook the user. I mean, how many games have you actually played, or how many apps have you used with in-app purchases that you kind of dropped after 2 days because either it was too hard, it was too easy? So you gotta hook the user in order to make him want to keep playing, get him addicted, so he will take out his wallet and actually pay. And it usually works for really, really high-end games. Let's try to match our 3 apps to this model. So the clock widget, well, it's not an easy one. You can try this, dismiss for free or snooze for $1. I don't know. It could work. For some people, I wouldn't. But a nice option, but really, it's not really a go for this one, especially where there's so many completely free and fantastic apps out there doing the exact same thing. For an action game, we talked about this, make it addicting, add a social layer to add competition, to add a little heads up between friends, put the, like Candy Crush are doing, put all your friends on the same map so you can see where you are in comparison to them, and integrate with great thought. Again, this is something that you need to do from day one. When do I ask for money? How do I ask for money? What point of the game? Verdict, perfect fit. For a music player, this is a bit of a different kind of freemium. I would say this would fit for an upsell for a premium game, for a premium app, sorry. So I said before, pack this thing with a lot of features. Send out a free, kind of maybe crippled version of your music player with only a few features, but show the user the other really cool features that it has, or give him a time trial for the complete version for 14 days. And then you can see some conversion rates for the premium version. So that's a good idea. So again, a good match, but kind of a different business model. So to sum it up, and this is something that I just thought about, Angry Birds is out, Candy Crush is in. Again, if I would do this presentation 10 months ago or a year ago, I would talk about Angry Birds and how huge they are and how much money they're making. Not a lot of people are talking about this anymore because the business model transferred from paid apps, from banners, and moving into in-app purchases. Okay, looks like a lot of the money in applications is right here. With the problem that it takes quite some time and quite a bit of money to produce a game that will actually be using this business model properly. So again, it's dominant for games, not for the rest. What you can expect, a premium conversion for a music player kind of app could be between 1% and 3%, which is not bad about it. And the daily active user is worth for King 10 cents. Again, I wouldn't expect this number, but because it is an anomaly and it is something that is going crazy right now, but roughly maybe half, 30% of this, still fantastic numbers. So that was our freemium model and our last model that we're going to talk about. Before we finish up, I'm going to stop at this little diagram that we have here. So I'm going to talk about finding the balance. Basically, you need to find a balance between a completely free application that offers amazing user experience, no ads, no nothing, it's completely free. But that's not really a model to base a company on, because no revenue might mean you won't be able to make more apps or work on it anymore. On the other hand, you can take the revenue side. You can pile inside your application literally every business model that we talked about. The in-app ads and interstitials and exit, and you use app walls everywhere, and you have a premium upgrade, and you just pack it with so much that it might be a very, very short-term strategy. So users might download your applications, check it out, be bombarded by ads, and just uninstall it the next day or a half hour later. So you might get a few impressions for the first users, but this is not really a long-term strategy if you want to build a business. So you need to find that balance for your application, know your application, what matches it, and find the in-between that combines a good user experience and enough revenue to actually sustain a business. And we're reaching the final level. I don't know if there's a princess here, but let's just quickly summarize. So business of apps, and Android specifically, holds really incredible opportunities. It's growing faster than the internet, faster than any kind of business in the past. With those opportunities, there are some serious challenges. I mean, we talked about at the beginning about discovery and retention. Each one of those can be a whole day event of just talking about how to get your app discovered, how to retain your users. So each one of them is a big, big challenge. Where you should start is by making a great app. It's always a good way or a good point to start. Don't settle, test, explore what's out there, optimize, analyze the numbers, switch up between ad networks. Every time you have a planned SDK change with some new features or with some bug fixes, throw in the new ad networks out there. There are tools out there that allow you to remotely change ad networks that you're using. Maybe a mediation tool that you can remotely change which ad network is running. Give that a test. Run the ad network for a week. Change it up for another one. So keep testing. This is an important part of your business. Reach out to the other side. And this is something which is fantastic. I can say to developers, and this is why we like coming to these events, is on the other side, the ad network side, we're looking forward to hear from our developers. So if you don't like something in the SDK, you don't like something in the dashboard, you want to make some tweaks, you have an idea for a new ad unit, reach out to the other side. There's an account manager there who would be thrilled to talk to you about everything. And you'll be surprised how fast you can make those changes according to what you guys want. And bottom line, you can turn this into a business, whether it be a small two-man business generating a small amount of extra income, or grow it to a really big company just doing great. That's it for me. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer, and thanks for listening, guys.
We actually have time for 2 questions.
If anyone has more, can find them in our
Yeah.
booth.
Yeah, definitely. Let's take 2 questions.
Sure.
We had one right here.
How many seconds is an impression? So I should ask that about that.
So how many times can you refresh?
Or what is an impression?
An impression, I'm sorry, I should have explained a little bit more. An impression is basically every time a user sees an ad inside your application.
Okay, so like an instant.
Yeah, you call out for the ad network and asking for a banner. Once they return a banner, that's an impression.
I actually have a question over here, too.
Oh, yeah, hey, Josh.
Yeah. Sorry. Most of the networks we've ever talked to and explored are terrible at monetizing international impressions outside of maybe UK and Germany.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on international,
Well,
Asia and whatnot?
I'll tell you what, that's actually a good question, and it's not easy. I mean, it's not that they don't want to monetize international traffic, it's just very hard to reach out to those users. And a lot of that is also depending on the advertisers and on the apps themselves that are required to maybe be localized, the ads and the apps that are downloaded for other countries, say China or India or these massive, massive user bases. Other than that, as an app developer, you can actually reach out and try to contact local ad networks. If you have traffic in Korea, you can try to contact an ad network in Korea. And then, build a little thing that says if the users from Korea first call this ad network. Let me have their banner. If this don't work, give me ad mob. So there is definitely a possibility to extend and reach out to more international. But again, that has to do with exploring, testing, and seeing who has the best international or country-specific traffic.
One more right here.
When it comes to games,
Yeah.
do you ever think we'll get to a point where paid apps will actually be viable? It's like people have no problem spending $60 on an Xbox game, but you spend $1 on an app for your phone and you freak out.
I totally agree with you. And again, this baffles me both as someone working in this industry and a user. I would not buy an app for $1, but I think I spent over $30 inside Candy Crush. That's really bizarre. Again, the big brands and the big names from PC and consoles can afford to have their apps paid. And you can see high-end games by EA, by Glue Mobile. They cost $5, $6, and $7 and have tens of thousands of downloads. So this specific category is still aimed at the hardcore gamers. They're looking for those hardcore games. For the casual user, I think it's going to stay with free apps with in-app purchasing because it just makes a lot more sense for the developer, the development company.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. All right, guys. Have a great lunch.